Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Blue Lion Blue Stance review. And it's a special day, no matter how you look at it. It's a special day of sadness for those of you who were of the Lampard in movement. And it's a day of some happiness of a sort, if you were in the Lampard out movement. I don't think every Chelsea fan is excited about this because Frank Lampard is a legend of the club, and you want to see legends being treated as legends and legends moving out of the club the way you want it. You want everybody to be happy when legends are leaving. But unfortunately, I still think in this circumstance, Lampard is very, very, very fortunate. If I'm right, or I think I'm right on this, he happens to be the first manager sacked, and Roman Abramovich has released a statement to show you how much the club loved him, even though Roman can be giving some off vibes and all. But there's a great sense that they really wanted to keep Lampard, but it didn't work out. So let me say a big welcome to Felix Romark, who's joining us, a fantastic Blue fan. Felix, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, John. Yourself?
Yes, I'm good. And joining us as well, I was just saying before we started that Lexis Bill really looks like one of the board members. He's in his blue and red. Blue showing that he's a Chelsea fan, and red meaning that at Chelsea we don't joke. Lexis, thank you very much for your time. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, George. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Right. Let's start with the news and how quickly things went through. Lexis, were you surprised? I know that after the Leicester game, we're not happy. A lot of Chelsea fans were not happy. I'm sure the board equally were not happy. But for it to happen after a win in the FA Cup against Luton, were you expecting this?
I mean, I'd be lying if I say I was surprised, because he's had it coming for a little bit. I think that a lot of people would say that this is long overdue. There were times that people had called for Lampard to be fired a long time ago, but it didn't happen. And for me, that was a testament to the faith that the club had in him. It was very obvious that the club loved him. They actually wanted him to succeed. And that's why he didn't have the axe a little earlier, because if it was any other coach who was coaching Chelsea, I bet he would have been gone a long time ago. But I think that Roman Abramovich personally liked Lampard, wanted him to succeed at Chelsea, wanted him to turn things around, and that's why he gave him that much time to get things together. But it was at a point where it didn't look like there was a way back. I mean, the win yesterday wasn't wasn't the one that was going to save his job in any way. I mean, I don't think in the scheme of things, the game against Luton Town was a game that the board were going to consider as one that had brought back the charm of Chelsea in any way. The damage had been done, and so I totally wasn't surprised that the axe fell this morning.
Well, let me come to you, Felix, on that. I just don't know, but I was telling a few friends yesterday, Frank Lampard making Mason Mount the captain of the team. Did it actually indicate that, well, he did not believe in the boys anymore, that he had to go with someone who could properly represent him on the pitch? Mason Mount above all the guys in there. Did that give you an indication of how bad the situation had become?
Well, I for once thought that, Mason was getting the captain course. Something was actually going to happen. It feels that if he's going to get a sack, I'm sure Lampard knew about the sack way back, maybe before the game yesterday, and he decided, for all the faith you've shown in me, Mason Mount, and you being at the club for a very long time, I think that for me, before I leave, I can at least grant you one wish of captain the Chelsea team, that your performance in itself have deserved this season or since I took over. So I saw that coming, but I must say that I have been calling for Lampard to be out way before we even got into. I think even when we were going on a very good run, you could see that there was issues, and at the point when he had that issue with is it Alonso at the West Brom game, the game that we drew 3-3, then you realize that there was something wrong. And if you look at someone like Alonso, he's been there with a certain number of players before Lampard came in, and I'm sure that there were players around who would be more closer to Alonso than even to Lampard. That aside, if you are to be in Roman's shoes, you give Lampard over 200 million to spend in the summer, money that other coaches haven't got the opportunity to spend. After the ban, Chelsea would have said, We don't really trust you. Let's see what you are able to do before we give you that money. And we placing fourth wasn't even a good, a position, I must say, to even have performed better than we did last season. And then what happened? You come to Roman. Knowing very well, Roman doesn't even stay in the UK anymore for political reasons, we all know. You are giving this huge money. Nobody stopped you from getting the type of players that you wanted. You went out there, you picked the players yourself. You spoke to some of these players yourself, and then they agreed to join the club. And now you are failing to use them at the right places. George, what broke the camel's back has to be the Leicester game. Sometimes you can watch your team lose and you say, you know what, we lost to a better team, or we lost playing good football. Our game against Liverpool when we lost 2-1 with red card to Christensen, we all could admit that we played very well and probably the red card changed the course of the game. But can you say the same for recent games that we've played in? You look at our game against City in the league, we were flat at the Stamford Bridge. Our last game, our league game against Leicester, same thing had happened. So at this point, you never, you weren't even giving the board a reason why they can give you, let's say, 2 or 3 more games. And if you look at how the league is going this season, if you lose 2 or 3 games, you could find yourself in a relegation battle. And I think that is what Chelsea is trying to avoid. And they clearly stated that in the statement that they released, that the position of the team, Chelsea is not a mid-table team. If it was the transfer ban, you could have said, well, we are managing mid-table and then we push further up into the top 4. But we spent a lot of money than any team in the Premier League. And we brought in good players. You are playing Timo Werner out of position. And as a coach, if a player is lacking confidence, it is your duty and your responsibility to bring back the confidence. In the times you look at his demeanor on the touchline, and if you're a player playing for him, that is a big turnoff. You ask yourself, do we even have a constant 11, George? When we started supporting Chelsea, on any match day, you can just say, Czech will start. Ivanovic will be at right back. Ashley Cole at left back. There is Carvalho, John Terry, or Michael Essien, Makalele. Drogba plays Afon. But every league games, you don't even know if it is Kante or it's Kovacic. That clearly shows you that this is a man who does not know what he is doing. He had the opportunity as being a legend and giving the opportunity to coach the team. But I think he's done himself a good disservice. And I'm happy that at least we are changing it before things get worse. And I hope that whoever comes in, this is the 14th time Roman has sacked a manager. And after that, we've won 15 trophies. So to him, the sacks brings him results. So this is a man who is not afraid to get a sack. And earlier on, as you said, Lampard is one lucky guy because Roman won't sack you and give you a written explanation why he sacked you. But Lampard got that. And I think that for that, he will know that he was loved by a club, but he let the people who suggested his appointment to be the head coach of the club, he let them down.
Well, you see, guys, it's very interesting. And we've had a lot from, the likes of journalists who are working with Athletic and, Sky Sports. And there's an interesting revelation that's coming out. I don't know, Lexis, if you've heard that, of the players that came to Chelsea, the new players that came to Chelsea, Ben Chilwell was actually the Lampard target. I am struggling out, and I want us to deal with this. I'm struggling a bit because every other player that joined, whether Havertz or Timo Werner, they all said they came to the club because of Frank Lampard. So it could be that, Ganoskaya asked Lampard to lead the charge to get the players. But now, Lexis, let's deal with it. Whether you were not the guy who brought these players or you're the guy who brought these players were good enough and were in form, and the board could look at, we want these players for the future. Does Lampard really have an excuse why these players have not thrived under him, even if he was not the one who brought them in?
I don't think he does. Look, Chelsea has had, I would say, the team in Europe right now with the biggest depth when we talk about quality of players. Okay, I don't think that there's a problem with any other players. He has a team. He has some of the most brilliant midfielders and most brilliant attackers. I mean, the statistics of Timo Werner before he came were insane. Ziyech was amazing. Kai Havertz was unbelievable. It totally doesn't have anything to do with whether he brought them or not. And normally when these player revolts or these kind of disaffection start, you'd expect them after maybe 2 or 3 seasons. You expect this kind of disaffection or whatever it is they call between the coach and players after like a couple seasons, when you know that he's juggled them and they are rubbing off each other wrongly and all. So maybe after the 2nd or 3rd season, you can expect somebody to say, okay, well, this is this person's favorite and da 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 da. But this is the first season. You're just putting them together. You understand? They probably don't have any reason to hate you because they see you as a legend. Do you get what I'm saying? So I don't think that played any role at all. I think it was purely down to tactics and technical play. And there's so many examples we can cite of how Frank Lampard lost it, from playing the one-man attack, from the positioning of Kante, using Jorginho. It was like you have such a rich soup of players, you don't even know which one to throw in. And like Felix was saying earlier, you really can't figure out a starting 11 for Chelsea. And we probably have had one of the most unstable selections this
17
season.
combinations for just the attack. 17 combinations for the attack that has only 4 players. 17 combination, unthinkable.
Unbelievable. That's totally unpardonable. You understand? I mean, you will pardon the first couple of weeks. Okay, you're getting to know the strengths of your players, but come on, how many weeks would you need to know that, okay, I need these players here and I need these players there, or I need this person to pair with this, or this is the strength of this person? And what's even worse for me is the fact that, the likes of Ziyech haven't been consistent. He had to go on an injury break a little bit, Kai Havertz also and all, but you still haven't been able to use such a quality player like Gino, like Kante. You don't know where to play Kante now. I mean, for a long time, before actually last season, Jorginho was like the guy who would calm our midfield down in the whole of Europe. And the onus was on the coach to be able to get them to gel, to be able to place them. I mean, you can't have 17 combinations with just 4 attacking players. I mean, how? And for me, that was where it looked like there was no hope for the Chelsea team, because we're really not sure who is leading the attack. Is it Abraham? Is it Timo Werner? Is it Giroud? There were times that the attack looked even more potent with Giroud, which was really unbelievable. I mean, Giroud is almost retiring. And for him to look like the guy who is saving Chelsea, it's just unthinkable. You have a great talent in the likes of Abraham and Timo Werner. There's no way you could use them. You couldn't use Pulisic and Mason Mount and Kai Havertz to get them to function properly. Then there's a problem. So I think that it was really more of the manager not being able to pair these players well and place them in the certain spots. I mean, you can talk about how he played a lot of them out of position, from Timo Werner to Mason Mount to Pulisic to goes on and on. We can place lots of examples of managerial inefficiencies, on the part of Frank Lampard. And for me, honestly, it doesn't have anything to do with who brought the players.
That's an interesting one, because it's been thrown about, and you can understand that the English media, to an extent, were hoping to save their man, but it just didn't work out there. Let's now have a look at it. I mean, from the other perspectives, and I was actually looking at it again from the players. There was a very, very big indication that the players did not want Lampard in there anymore. Maybe the Mason Mount thing was actually what broke the camel's back, but we could even see in the game against Leicester that the sheer lack of fight from the players felt like the players were tired of a manager who was confusing them in what to play, because every single player can complain. Maybe apart, even Mason Mount has been put on the wing before. So everyone has had to do something else aside what they've been asked to play. And it looks like it has affected the rhythm of a team. Is that one of the main points, Felix, that really made the board understand that this is not fixable by Lampard?
Well, George, if you look at the players that Chelsea have, almost all of them are international players who play for their national teams, players with a lot of experience. So And they know very well that they have a very inexperienced coach. Sometimes when you have an inexperienced coach, you can clearly see that this man is new to the job. He hasn't gotten that pressure that comes with managing a team like Chelsea. Let's talk about the Leicester game. You went to Leicester to play an informed Leicester team with a midfield of Kai Havertz, Kovacic, and Mason Mount. George, who does that? They will outrun you. They will outrun you. You don't go to Leicester with such a midfield. And when you are playing, football basically is being played in the middle of the park. And if you don't have a strong midfield, your attackers will need to do an extra work to cover for the midfield. Your defenders will have to do same. So it looks like at the point, the players will even get tired. The players will say, you know what, there's a lot of responsibility that I can't bear, or there are a lot of things I can't do. Most coaches who have coached Hazard, they will tell you, you know what, Hazard is one player who doesn't like to tackle. He won't come back and tackle. And Mourinho complained about that. So most of the coaches will tell them, you know what, if my team concede 2 goals, Hazard go and score a hat-trick, it means that you use the player where it suits the player. You use the player at his best possible, position, and that can bring out the best in the player. I don't have a problem with Mason Mount because clearly he's been the best player for Chelsea, and the reason why he has also improved is he's been one of the most consistent players under Lampard. Lampard always liked him. Lampard made an excuse that he's not starting Thiago Silva in games because he feels age is catching up with him. He feels that he needs to manage him. This is the same player who has been playing week in, week out in France and even managed to go to the Champions League semi-finals. And you complain about tiredness. But you are the same coach who plays Mason Mount in every game, whether league game, Carling Cup, basically every game. So are you saying, if you are saying you are managing the players, why is one particular player playing in more games? And I feel that for a few couple of games, I've asked myself, why is Zuma on the bench? He's one of the most consistent defenders we have. He's one of the top scoring defenders in the league. He's even outscoring your strikers and your midfielders. And you ask yourself that, you see a lineup and Zuma is on the bench. And George, I've always been saying that if a player is in form and he can't start again, he has no business sitting on the bench. He has no business. And for some games now, I don't understand why Zuma has been sitting on the bench. So clearly, for us who are just fans and who even watch the game, and we believe that Lampard needs to go, imagine those who are spending the money, imagine those who are taking the decision. They'll clearly understand that, you know what, I've always been saying that Lampard was lucky to have the Chelsea job because of his connection at the club, because of his legendary status at the club. But trust me, if he wasn't English and he wasn't a legend, he wouldn't have gotten that job. Yeah. And clearly, I'm sure there are a lot of people in the club who didn't want the idea of Lampard coming in as a coach for some of the reasons I've mentioned. And now I think they've been vindicated with a sacking. I believe that if Lampard can get a sack after all that and his relationship with the board and even the owner of the club, it tells you that if you're a new manager and you are coming in, you won't get favors from the club. If we can sack Lampard and if we can sack Mourinho, bring him back and sack him again, whoever comes in at Chelsea knows that this is not a job you come and joke around. And trust me, you have the money to spend. You have like I said, we basically have the best team in Europe, if I can say. We have the best team. We've got the best talent in Europe. And we are not seeing any move. People are talking about Ole had time and all that. We could see improvements from Ole. At least even one of the acquisitions he made is making a huge difference. This is Bruno Fernandes. He's making a huge difference in the team. Can you say the same about Chelsea? You can say the same. You don't know. I don't know what Lampard is playing. If he's playing 4-3-3, if he's playing 4-4-2, we don't have a blueprint. And if you are human and you don't have a blueprint with anything you do, you surely fail. And clearly, we saw that in the couple of games that we've played. And I'm happy that he has gotten the sack. And whoever comes in knows that he has a huge job at hand.
Yeah, I mean, whoever comes in knows it. And And I think, well, at Chelsea, I tweeted, people were laughing, but we're serious about it. But if you're a fan and you're not serious, you can be sacked, because that's where it's got into. Chelsea showing the way. 14 coaches sacks, 15 trophies, and yeah, they keep on winning, and they go. So we're expecting a lot to come. And already the news has come through, looking at the number of managers. I mean, one manager, of course, the former Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain manager, of course, made it to the Champions League final, lost to Bayern Munich, should be up and running for this job. I know there are already some naysayers who are saying that, oh no, how do you move from Frank Lampard to Tuchel? But let me come to you, Lexis, and find out from you what you make of this in terms of Tuchel. What do you expect from him?
I would be happy if Tuchel was given the nod to manage Chelsea. I think that his couple of seasons at PSG were amazing. I mean, I think it was in his second season that he won the quadruple with PSG. He won about 4 trophies in the season with PSG. Of course, he comes with a very technical setup, German machine kind of mindset, which makes the Germans and the team very happy. I'm sure Timo Werner will be looking forward to that, and Kai Havertz as well. So that will be a good thing for us. He's worked extensively with Thiago Silva as well, and of course, our back line looks like Thiago Silva is the best in our back line. So having him there pivoting at the back would be very instrumental for the team. But I think that looking around, I mean, I've heard a few other names from Max Allegri and all, but I would say that Tuchel is a guy for me. Having played in, having actually coached Dortmund and now to France, to PSG, and he wasn't that bad at PSG. Even though he was let go last year, he had issues with COVID and the performances dipped, and they are you can tell from their lack of. I mean, they literally didn't give him any time. You know, they didn't give him any time to turn things around. When the performances dipped, they just let him go, just like that. And that's classic Chelsea style. You know, and that's how comes over saying that. Look, Lampard has had it easy. He's had it coming for a long time. But because he was a club legend, I mean, if you have, we've sacked a lot of coaches, and you will hardly hear a statement from Roman Abramovich himself. You know, so when I read the statement and they were quoting Roman Abramovich, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is really a big thing. You know what I mean? For him himself to make a statement and say what about Frank Lampard, it tells you how much they wanted Frank Lampard to stay, but they just couldn't because there was no hope. You know, so for me, it's a big task for Tuchel. I think he can do the job. But of course, agree form, like we say in Chi, you would have to come see the players. But I'm confident because our problem has been mostly in attack. And these guys are players that he very well know. Some of them he actually handled in Dortmund. So he actually knows their strengths and will be able to utilize them to their strengths. And so that's really what gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that he's coming in, you know. So for me, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a positive move. And even aside that, we just needed a change. You understand? So even aside the Tuchel factor, I think Chelsea just needed a change because we had it all and we had tried whatever it is and it wasn't just working. So there needed to be a change. Whether it was players, now we realize it was a coach. So we needed that coach change, and it has happened. So I'm very sure that attitudes will change, you know, and you know, earlier when Felix was talking about, you asked him about how maybe the players, some didn't like him and they failed to play and all of that. You know, if you look historically, when a coach goes ahead to publicly criticize individual players and their performances, it affects the morale in the camp. You know, it happened with Mourinho, it happened with a few other coaches, and I think it was one of the mistakes that Frank Lampard did because I think after our 3-1 loss at Arsenal, he criticized some individual players. And I thought that, okay, you know, when a coach gets to that point, you realize that he's out of excuses. He really doesn't have anything else to say than to hit directly at this player not doing this player not doing that. And that's actually what happens a lot of the time when some of these players, the coaches are found wanting, you know. And so for me, that rubbed off them wrongly. That aside, the players as well, the uncertainty of the squad. We've talked about the changes in the squad and how players didn't know whether they're going to play with this partner or play with that partner. You know, that instability also didn't help. So now the team just needs stability. It needs a certain structure that, you know, that week in, week out, this is my partner. Only on certain occasions will I have somebody else to play with. Then you can actually read somebody's game. You know how this person moves and all of that. But if week in, week out, you are playing with somebody new, I mean, you are definitely not going to be consistent. And for me, that's why I think that we needed a captain of the ship who will steer affairs and rock, you know, get the rocking boat steady. And for me, Tuchel is fine.
Lexis has made the points there, but how much are you expecting to reap from the fact that he was a former Borussia Dortmund coach, of course, so he meets his work with the likes of Pulisic. Also, the fact that there are Germans in the squad, he should understand the German mentality and should have actually seen the development of the likes of Kai Havertz and Timo Werner very much in that. And then the fact that he's handled PSG and he's got the likes of Thiago Silva and then, you know, a couple of French boys as well in the back line. Is that why Chelsea went for him?
Well, George, I must say that one of the main reasons we could talk about is Kai and then and Timo, because if you look at the amount of money Chelsea have spent, you can't buy an expensive car and then you don't have a driver to drive it well, you know, or a driver to maintain it well. And clearly they realized that Lampard was given the opportunity to, you know, drive it. He wasn't doing a good job. Aside this appointment, if you look at Tuchel, he's coming in one with a lot of experience in France and Germany. If you look at the Chelsea back four, I can clearly say that the back four, apart from Reece James, Mendy speaks French, Zuma speaks French, Thiago Silva speaks French, Cesar Azpilicueta speaks French. When you come to the midfield, there is N'Golo Kante, who is French. Then up front, there is Giroud, who is French. And then we have Rudiger, who's a German. We have Kai and Timo, who are German. So almost half of the team that plays for Chelsea, when you talk about communication, the coach coming in can express himself well with this kind of players. And if you watch Timo and Kai, they can speak good English, but trying to understand the language has been a problem for them. And same thing happens to Thiago Silva, who said, you know what, we've had communication issues at the back line. And I'm sure maybe Lampard could say there are some games that he feels that communication will be very, very important. Reason why he doesn't want to play Thiago Silva. So aside the coaching and the experience, I think the language itself is very, very important. Sometimes when there is fluency in communication, then a player can understand whatever information or whatever advice or technicalities you are trying to, you know, impose on his game or trying to let him learn or teach him to impact on the game. And I believe that if you look at all that, and Tuchel himself, what about 7 trophies at PSG? That should tell you the experience that he has. It's not a bad coach. He was in the semi-final of the Champions League some few months ago. So he has a lot of experience. That was something that Lampard didn't have. And I'm sure that when you put the two together, the players will know that they are coming to get a better coach. And aside appointment of a new coach, sometimes change is needed. These players will point. Even Kepa will feel that, you know what, maybe this is an opportunity for me to get back to being the number 1 goalkeeper for the team. Maybe Oxynodo will feel that, you know what, there are things that I have performed, even on as a sub. But Lampard doesn't play me. Maybe this is the time I need to show the new coach coming in that I deserve to start some games. I also will say, you know what, let me also see what I can do. The transfer window is open though, but there's a new coach coming in. Let me give him a reason why I think that I should deserve to be playing for this team. And new coaches can change a lot of things. The mentality itself can change. We see what Artefok is doing, what the players are doing now with Papic coming in. Everybody is starting all afresh. They feel that this is an opportunity to go back and start afresh. And I'm sure that this Chelsea players will have that in their mind. Not like everybody has a fresh start. So let's see how it goes. But I'll always say I'm very, very happy with the decision the board took today.
Well, let's just try and wrap it up so that we can make way. Of course, we've gone into all the issues. But again, the next game is against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Lexis, we're not sure, even if the man is given the job. It looks like they've almost settled on Thomas Tuchel. But of course, he may not be in the dugout. And we know that the assistant coach of Lampard is going away with him. It would be interesting how to get all of these things underway just before it. Do you think that the breath of fresh air alone in the club is enough for the boys to get the job done against Wolverhampton Wanderers, who picked their last win against Chelsea, and since that they haven't won again?
I don't think that just a new coach is enough to get the team performing at optimal level. I think that the Frank Lampard this season is a clear testament to any coach coming in that you might have the best of players, but if you're unable to, use them well or utilize them and play them according to their strengths, you're not going to get the best out of them. So it will bring you renewed energy in camp. Of course, all the players would want to perform optimally to be able to get the coach's attention, because now it's more like a level playing field for everybody. And the way they have played this season has also not given any player an upper hand over the other. You understand? You literally can't tell the difference between a Pulisic and a Ziyech, or a Mason Mount and a Kai Havertz. You understand? So all of them have some sort of a level playing field, and they will be motivated to put their best performance up to be able to ensure that they're in the good books of the new coach. That's a good thing. But more importantly, the coach needs to be able to identify the strength of these players and play them according to their strengths in a way as well that the team would gel, because right now the team needs some stability. There was an Oscar and a Hazard combination, and they were constant, and they were the guys there. They were in the midfield. There's only going to be one out if there's a substitution or an injury. Chelsea needs that. Chelsea needs that. That solidity in the squad. So right now everybody is going to perform to their utmost best to make sure that they get the coach's attention. That's a good thing. That's the renewed energy that we need. But the onus really lies on the coach to identify the best system that's going to play well for these guys. Are we having Kai Havertz at the mask man? Is he the one playing on top? Are we even playing one man on top? Or we're going to have a double header with two strikers? I mean, all these need to be figured out. These are the things that needs to be laid out. These are the basic things that need to be sorted out, so that there's a certain system, there's a style of play. Are we playing attacking football? Are we playing possessive football? All these things need to be ironed out. Right now, the team really doesn't have any structure. You don't know what style of play Chelsea plays. It's just, play the ball around ourselves. If you have the ball, pass an opponent. If we're able to score, fine. If we don't score, we come back and then we walk. It's basically just that. We need style of play. I mean, the Manchester City team, when they are going, they are putting pressure, they are keeping a very high line from defense to attack. That's the mindset, and they're sticking to it. They have the guns for it, they have the men for it. What are we playing? Are we going to play like a Barcelona, where we are going to keep the ball, play around? Because for me, I even think that that's the kind of setup we should be looking at, where we get to keep the ball a little bit, play around and play to the opponent's area. But I'm not a coach anyway, so I wouldn't be able to prescribe which is best for us. But I doubt we have the guys who are going to be running helter-skelter, with a kind of attacking football and probably countering somebody's counter-attacks, and all of that. So the coach needs to figure this out very, very early. He has the energy of the players to fall on. He will get the players buy-in immediately he lands at Stamford Bridge, because the players will be hungry for success. They will be willing to turn things around. And a lot of them know that if they don't perform, they're going to lose their positions. So he has that to capitalize on and set up the team right from now. Because, I mean, hovering around mid-table is not Chelsea, with the likes of Aston Villa ahead and all of that. No, that's not Chelsea.
I think he's just made the point there. Let's just end it. So yes, the information we're getting, he might be announced on Tuesday, and yeah, it was going to take some time for him to come in. Just will be your quick words for Tuchel when he gets into the job. Romark, as we end.
Well, I think you should give us a playing identity, just as Lexis said. We want to know what we are playing. If we are playing high pressing, if we are playing counter-attacking football, we want to be able to know that we have a consistent starting 11. Consistency is very, very important. And we want to know that this is the spine of our team, our central defense, our midfield, and our attack, our goalkeeper. This is what you want to know. And I just hope that he will learn from the lessons of Frank Lampard. That is very, very important. Sometimes when you are going into a job, you ask yourself, why was this person sacked? What did he do wrong that got him off the job? He needs to make sure that he doesn't repeat the mistakes of Frank Lampard. Trust me, I'm sure he knows Roman won't joke with his club. And if he comes with that mentality, I'm sure that he's going to succeed. There'll be a lot of pressure from him, from the English press, because he's replacing an English man. He should just keep off from all those rumors and report and all that and concentrate on the job. And I, as a Chelsea fan, I want to see the best of the club. And I just hope that it brings us the new vibe that we'll be calling for.
Well, let me say thank you to you, Felix, Romark. A big thank you to you as well, Lexis Bill, for joining us on the Blue Lion review. It's always a pleasure to have you guys alongside. We're looking forward to the first game of Chelsea. There will be an edition of Blue Stand, special edition later tonight. Thank you to all the Chelsea fans who managed to watch this. Remember to subscribe to our channel, Blue Stand GH. Lexis, thank you. Romark, thank you once again. And we're definitely back with some more when the need arises for the Blue Lion review. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.